Thanks a lot. I'm glad to be here. A lot of what we do at Georgia, I'd say 65–70% of the work that we do in nutrition is with women athletes. And so what do you guys want to learn tonight? Before you leave here, what would you like to know? You see all these different things listed up here? What to eat that's good for you. All right, I'm going to go over that. Anything else? Anything more specific? Anything that, what? For peak performance, okay. Other nutrients. Let me tell you one thing that is really important, that I think, in my opinion, there's 4 things that go into making a great athlete. Good coaching, hard training, good nutrition, and a good emotional, psychological outlook on what you're doing. And I think that's really confidence in what you're doing. And so to have that confidence, you've got to take care of this nutrition part of it. Because I know that a lot of you compete against schools like, larger schools that have more scholarship athletes and so forth. So you've got to be able to take advantage of the nutrition to give yourself an edge, and you can do that. It's not very difficult. So I'm not going to cover everything that's on this list, but let me just give you a brief background. We do this at the University of Georgia. We're trying to keep UGG on a diet, and but we do a lot of counseling, individual work, and we do group, team presentations, we do newsletters, and then we also participate in the eating disorders team at the university. One of the things that we look for in an athlete is how they're practicing, how they're performing. Does that relate to how they're eating? I mean, if you're weak and tired and you're not feeling good, you may be overtraining or you may not be eating good enough. So all these people work together to try to communicate about what's going on. We work with a lot of different athletic teams, and it really is sport specific, because what we'll talk to a gymnast about or a cross-country runner is a lot different than a basketball or a football player. These are some of the questions that I came up with. For example, should you eat a low carbohydrate diet to lose weight? How many of you think you should? Nobody's raising their hand. The Atkins diet type thing. Anyway, I've got a handout I'm going to give you that talks about this. Do you need more protein in your diet? That's not as big an issue, I think, for women athletes, but are sports drinks better than water? Who says they are? All right, so you'll hear a little bit of. So anyway, these are some of the questions that have come up. One of the things that I like to do in helping you guys understand what's a good diet is kind of break it down. Come on in, you don't worry about it. Is break it down into different types of activities. You've got your short and your duration intense activities, such as a long jump, triple jump in track and field. Or if you're guarding somebody and all of a sudden you sprint down the court. Just for that few seconds, that's what we call a power intense activity. Then you got your longer duration, moderately intense activity, like long distance running, cross country. But then you've got tennis, and then tennis and in basketball, you got combination of because basketball and tennis players are going over a long periods of time sometimes, and they're doing some of these short duration intense bouts. So the common denominator for both of those is carbohydrates, and both types of movements require carbohydrate to give you the energy to do the activity you need to do. So I'm going to spend just a second talking about carbohydrates. Carbohydrates has gotten a bad rap in the last couple of years because of the Atkins diet and everything. And I guarantee if you know somebody that's been on the Atkins diet to lose weight, they've probably lost weight, but they probably gained it back too. And so the worst thing, I told the coaches today, the worst thing in the world for athletes is a low carbohydrate diet. You want to eat carbohydrates, but you don't want to be eating the simple sugar carbohydrates like lemonade, sweet tea, cakes, cookies, things like that. What you want to be eating are fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes, and things like that have a lot of carbohydrate in them. So these are the types of foods that we're talking about. Now, somebody be a guinea pig for me. Breakfast. What did you have for breakfast?
It was really early when I really was this morning, but I just had
Oatmeal. Okay. All right. Now, how did you feel the whole morning? Were you tired at all later in the morning?
I mean, a little tired after that. It was 6:45, by the way. But
So what time did you? What's your sport? Okay. Did you practice early?
6:45.
So you didn't want to eat. You didn't want to eat too much before you practice. So I can understand that. You do?
Because I can't eat that much before play, and sometimes I'm hungry.
Well, eating during practice in the event, I'm going to talk about that too. Because think about a basketball team that's got a game at 7. You may eat your pregame meal at 3, and then the next time you eat is 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. And not only are you hungry during that period of time, but if you have a game the next day, you've already gone 6 hours without eating, and your carbohydrate stores are going to get low, and you're going to be fatigued the next day, especially if you got a tournament or something. So focus in on this. If you didn't have practice, what I would have said, with oatmeal's fine, probably skim milk, because every one of you need to have calcium, and if you get it from soy milk or whatever, but you need calcium, and probably some kind of protein, a little bit more of a protein source to give you a little stay-in power through the morning. Maybe a piece of fruit to go with that. So, but the oatmeal is definitely a good carbohydrate to use. A lot of people use energy gels, sports bars, and drinks. These are real popular now. Excuse me here. So the energy gels, some people like them. Anybody ever use them? You runners? Okay. Soccer. Well, and how do they work for you?
I used to take them.
But not much. Yeah. I see a lot of long distance runners use these energy gels, and the thing about it is it's a concentrated source of energy, so it could upset your stomach. I think the best choice of all these, in my opinion, are the sports drinks. There's no question that they're better than plain water. When I was in sports nutrition 20 years ago, we used to say, you don't need the sports drinks, drink water, but the research definitely shows that these drinks are better, and I'm going to tell you why in just a minute. Now, you need carbohydrate before you exercise so that you're not so tired. One of the coaches was saying their basketball player, said that they were hungry before they started a game. You don't want to go into a competition with low energy levels. So you need to make sure you have something before pregame meal. We'll talk about that. During exercise, if you're a long distance runner, or if you're tennis and you've got several matches and it's taken several hours, you need to carry a little bit of food with you. Bananas, crackers, maybe even, if you can tolerate it, something like, maybe even a half a sandwich. Something that's going to give you a little bit of energy, keep you feeling good, keep your blood sugar levels up. Then after exercise, for example, soccer, you may go several soccer matches in several days consecutively. Not often, but sometimes, especially when you get to tournaments. And when you're doing that, you've only got a certain amount of time that you can resynthesize your muscle energy levels. You've got really about 20 hours to do that. And if you don't eat after you get through with a soccer match for several hours, and then you have a little supper and you go to sleep, study, do whatever, and the next day you have another match, you've limited how much energy you can put in your muscles. You got to do it right after exercise. Let me see. Yeah, so this pre-game meal, a pre-event meal, all you want to do is satisfy your hunger. Make sure you're not hungry. You don't want to get any kind of gastrointestinal problems. If you get nervous, you may not be able to tolerate certain foods. You want to stabilize your blood sugar levels, and you want to be hydrated. So these are really the three main goals for a pre-event meal. And I used to compete a lot running, and I didn't really even care how the food tasted. I just wanted to get some carbohydrate in, make sure it was bland so it didn't upset my stomach, and I hydrated myself. And that's pretty much what I did. I didn't feel like it had to be some special meal of an omelet or something. So easily digestible, like something like oatmeal, pancakes, a cereal, bland, just cereal. You could have, host the things I showed you up there, and I'm going to give you a handout: a bagel, cup of juice. You want to restrict simple sugars, although it depends on the athlete. We used to have a cross-country runner, or she ran barefoot, which was amazing, on the track too. She was from England, but she always would take a spoonful of honey before she ran. Well, she was setting UGA 8K or whatever the distance is for women's cross-country records. I mean, she was good. So what do you tell her? Not to eat simple sugars? But generally, that's you want to not do that. You don't want to eat simple sugars. And then protein, especially down in Georgia. When I go, we had a hot week last week in November or in late October. It was warm, and anytime you eat a lot of protein, you need water to help digest that protein. So it takes water from your body to digest it. So if you eat a high protein, big steak or a lot of protein, and then you go exercise in the heat, then your body fluid requirements are higher. You need more water because you're going to need it to digest that. So that's important. Now, this is what I think is really critical. Whether you're in tennis, in basketball, cross country, whatever, if you're competing and you're competing over several hours, your body energy stores of carbohydrates are going to get low. So what we recommend, especially for, this is your glycogen levels in your muscle, and that's your blood glucose. So over 2 hours, your blood glucose is going to become increasingly important as an energy source for you to exercise. You see on the left it says fuel source. Your muscle levels of carbohydrate are going down. So you got to keep your blood sugar levels up. And the way to do that is every 15 minutes, let's say you're in a basketball game. You should be drinking a fluid that has a carbohydrate source, like Gatorade or Powerade, every 15 minutes, 4 to 6 ounces. If you do that, you're going to keep your blood energy levels up, and you're not going to have that fatigue or that tiredness several hours into your competition. You'll be able to maintain, and it does help. There's no question about it. And then right after, when you go to the locker rooms, you should be having a banana or a glass of Gatorade or an apple or something that you can tolerate. A lot of athletes can't eat something right after they get through, so make it liquid. The liquid will help you resynthesize your muscle energy stores, and it does it more within 30 minutes of the completion of your exercise than if you wait a couple hours. So again, if you've got a soccer match today and then you got another one tomorrow, you've only got a certain amount of time to rebuild up your energy stores and your muscles. And the best way to do it is right when you get through competing is to eat. All right. And so endurance exercise, I wanted to show you this just because it interests me. This is for those who run. This is the shut-in trail run that was held this weekend. This is last year's. But what I wanted to show you about it was their sports nutrition recommendations. All right, here they are. This is one of the aid stations, and they've got water, Gatorade, trail mix, M&Ms, bananas, chocolate, Band-Aids, and Rolaids. Now, what do you think the Rolaids are for? Cramps. That's right. Now, you guys got it. You're smart. If you take a little bit of sodium, they have salt in them. That's one of the reasons why they're helpful in terms of cramps. But this shows you that every sport is different, and in long distance running, a lot of athletes can handle something like trail mix or M&Ms or bananas or something like that. But really, the best thing is the Gatorade. And then if you have a problem with cramping, another thing that you can do would be to add a little bit of salt, about a half a teaspoon of salt to a gallon of Gatorade if you're a heavy sweater, and that will help replenish that sodium and reduce the likelihood of cramping. A guy at Medical College of Georgia was telling me about that. Now, so here's an example of something to eat right after you get through competing. like a bagel with peanut butter and a cup of raisins, a cup of yogurt, banana, OJ, turkey sandwich. So these are some examples of about 100 grams of carbohydrate that you need right when you get through exercising. This is particularly important, I think, for, again, for situations like you've got a basketball tournament. You may go one game after, if you keep winning, you keep playing. So now, this is the honest truth. I bet with many athletes that haven't been eating enough, and they walk in and I'm talking to them and they can't even focus. I mean, they're so dazed and fatigued. I mean, they're tired, they're confused. But if you get low in your energy stores by not eating enough or not following a good diet, you're more likely to get injured because you're not going to be able to concentrate as well, and you're not going to be paying attention, and it could result in injury. So that's really important to help you with clear thinking, and this is another example of peak performance by making sure that you have enough energy levels. Now, protein, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you one thing. I'll stick there. Competitive athletes, there's a sedentary person. Competitive athlete may need a little bit more protein, but you know what we're talking about? We're talking about heavy strength training athletes. So if you're doing heavy weight training, then you may get some advantages from a little bit more protein. But you know what? Most of you, how many of you, I'm just trying to think, when I ate at the dining hall today, and I probably got 30 grams of protein in I got lentils and rice, I got some tofu, and I got some turkey, the turkeys, and probably what he put on my plate, he put 3 slices of turkey on my plate. And then with the tofu and the lentils, I probably had about 30 grams of protein. So you figure for somebody that weighs 70 kilograms, which is about 150 pounds, 70 kilos, about 1 gram per kilogram of body weight, that's 70 grams of protein. Most of you get 100 grams of protein a day in your diet. So you don't even need to worry about supplements to enhance muscle protein synthesis, not at all. In fact, I would be more concerned. The thing about protein I think is important for you, the practical thing is in the morning when you have breakfast, to have a little protein. I think it helps keep you from feeling so hungry, and I think it gives you a little staying power. And so I think that's the most important thing about protein for the athlete. There's no advantage to taking supplements. Now, for women and men, we always think of it as a female disease or whatever, osteoporosis, bone disease. You need 1,300 milligrams of calcium a day. All right, I need another guinea pig. Who wants to be? Anybody? No, you can't be it twice. No. All right, okay. All right, tell me how many servings of a dairy products you've had today.
About 2 or 3.
2, all right, so tell me what you had.
I had yogurt first thing this morning.
All right, a whole cup of yogurt?
Yeah, like a serving.
All right, so 1 cup of yogurt.
And then I had yogurt again this afternoon.
All right, so 2 yogurts. All right, so you get about 250 to 300 milligrams of calcium per serving of yogurt. So you got about 500 milligrams of calcium in that. Did you eat any of those greens that they had today?
No, I don't eat a cow, but I did take an Oscal.
Oh, you did take an Oscal. Uh-oh. So all right, how many of you take a supplement? Calcium supplement? Good for you. A lot of women cut out dairy products because they think it's associated with gaining weight. But you know what? The research is now showing, and this is coming out of the University of Tennessee and some other places, that people that have been dairy product consumers actually have lower body weights than people that haven't been. So not only is there that potential benefit, but the calcium is really important. Where else can you get calcium? Fruit juice. Have you seen the juices that are fortified with calcium and vitamin D? let me tell you something. Get the calcium. Every one of you, your bones, and this is my area of research, your bones are getting ready to peak. And you've got really probably about another 10 years before your spine reaches its maximum level. So you have still about 10 years to where you can enhance how much bone mineral you have in your spine. And if you don't do it now, you'll never have the opportunity because you'll never be able to build bone again. So now's the time, 1,300 milligrams. So we're talking about 4 good servings of dairy products and then additional calcium from some other sources to get that 1,300 milligrams, or fruit juices and or supplements. Now, vitamin D, I wouldn't worry about that. Most of you get sunshine. How many of you use sunblock? That's a lot of you. I'm surprised. That's good. But I doubt you're vitamin D deficient, although we're doing research on children in the South, in Georgia, to see where their vitamin D levels are, because there is some concern. Iron, particularly for female athletes that have menstrual cycles, you lose iron through your monthly cycle. So you need to be careful about that, although I don't think it's that big a problem. And probably you know if you're prone to being iron deficient or have iron deficiency anemia. But the best source of iron is red meats and red meat type foods like pork and fish and chicken and so forth. Yes? I wouldn't take them unless they were prescribed by a physician for the purpose of iron deficiency anemia. There are some concerns about taking too much iron, and I would think that if you're eating a balanced diet and getting some chicken or poultry, fish, or meat, you're probably getting enough iron. That could be a problem. But yeah, I mean that would be a situation that would be different. Yeah. But you wouldn't want to take a lot. So, they give pregnant women 30 milligrams of iron. That's a lot of iron for pregnant women. So, your requirement for iron is probably around 15 milligrams. So I wouldn't take any more than that.
Do you think the prenatal vitamins are good to take? Even if you're not prenatal, obviously.
Right. Well,
they incorporate all of the good things that go on, like strong bones and iron.
right. They're not bad. I mean, they're kind of a super packed up supplement, but a 1-a-day supplement with the vitamins and vitamin mineral 1-a-day supplements, perfectly fine. The other thing that's real important for you guys is that women of childbearing age, they need to make sure they get plenty of folic acid. Folic acid's a nutrient that prevents birth defects from occurring. And so, I mean, a lot of women your age have gotten pregnant by accident, and if they weren't consuming the folic acid is protective very early in pregnancy. A lot of women may not even know they're pregnant for 8 to 10 weeks. And if you didn't have a good folic acid intake, you get folic acid now from grains, breads, cereals, and from like foliage, folate, green leafy vegetables, and juice. You can get it also in juice. Some of them have it. Antioxidant nutrients. Let me tell you something. Fruits and vegetables, make sure you eat them. I want you to do me a favor tomorrow, and I want you to count how many fruit and vegetables you have during the day. If you have maybe one juice is your part of your fruit, and then another fruit, or maybe 2 fruits, whatever, and 3 vegetables, you need 5 a day, fruits and vegetables. You know, I know you've heard that slogan, 5 a day. Have you heard that? You want to get that. Now, in terms of supplements, I'm not going to say anything except for we mentioned vegetarian as an example. Lactose intolerance shouldn't be a problem. I purchased Lactaid milk. You know, it's regular milk, just has the lactose already digested, so you don't have to worry about that. It shouldn't be a problem. The only other problem that I worry about are athletes that are restricting their food intake because they're concerned about body weight, and that can be a concern. So again, a 1-a-day supplement may be helpful. I'm gonna move on. and come to here. At Georgia, we have to worry about the fans as well as the players in terms of hydration because of alcohol. And but these are symptoms of dehydration. One of the best things that I recommend is looking at your urine color to make sure that you're hydrated. I mean, it's very clear if your urine is like a dark tea color, then you're not hydrated. You want it to be like a real light colored lemonade, real clear looking. And that's the best way. We always do that at physicals. We always have a jar with each one, and we point to the tea or the lemonade to show them to know if they're hydrated. So, drinking on a schedule. How many of you carry a bottle with you? If you don't, you need to carry a bottle with you and drink. You just need to be constantly thinking about hydration. Weigh in before and after exercise. That's only in the heat where you may lose several pounds due to training and practice. Again, the Gatorade and sports drinks. If I put a pitcher up here of plain water and Gatorade, you'll drink more Gatorade than you'll drink water. Because it tastes a little bit, but it's got the sweetness and the saltiness, and it just tastes good to drink. So you'll drink more and you'll get hydrated better. So definitely do that. And then again, check your urine color. These are tips, and I've got a handout for you. I'm not going to go over it, but let me just make one comment here. Caffeine, as I'm sitting here drinking a cup of coffee, but caffeine and tea and colas and things like that, I mean, they make you go to the bathroom. They increase urine production, and if you urinate, then you're going to lose a lot more body water. So try to limit those. One of the big pieces of information that came out about the population in the U.S. is that over the last 20 years, cola intake has gone up dramatically and milk intake has gone down. Colas don't have any nutrients in them at all. Skim milk has 80 calories per 8-ounce serving. That is very few calories, and the nutrients that you get in skim milk are outstanding. So I think we've gotten into this pattern of drinking lemonades and teas and things like that don't have anything in them really except for a little bit of sugar, but they do have caffeine, which can cause you to urinate more and lose body water. Alcohol is critical in terms of dehydration. I know that the laws here in North Carolina are same at Georgia, 21 and under. So, it's really important to be aware of that, how it can affect your performance. The other thing is something like, if you, for example, let's say that you were going to go into a pretty intense practice session, or you were going to compete and you said, I remember Dr. Lewis was saying it's better to drink beverages that have some sugar in them. And so you say, well, you know what, I'm going to drink some orange juice. That wouldn't be a good thing to do, because the orange juice has got sugar in it, and it could be helpful, but it's a little bit too concentrated. Because what happens is, look at plain water on the left-hand bar, and look at over here, those percentages or percent of carbohydrate or sugar in the beverage. And the 6% one is very similar to water in terms of how much you absorb. In other words, if you have such a concentrated drink like 8-9% concentrated drink, that would be like orange juice, then you're not going to be able to absorb it in the fluid, and you're not going to be able to absorb the carbohydrates, so it's not going to do you any good. So you want something like a Gatorade or a Powerade. That's going to work good for you, yes.
Does it help if you mix juices with water?
Yeah, the other thing that you could do would be to take an orange juice if you really like the taste of it, and just mix it 2 to 1, with water and juice, and just dilute it out, and that's perfectly fine. Yeah. If you're not used to it, what I used to do when I in my training is I would dilute the Gatorade, and then I would slowly build up so that the concentration got back to its 6% concentration, because if you can get that carbohydrate into your body and use it, then it's going to benefit you. So, but a lot of people can't tolerate a regular level of Gatorade until they've tried it several times. And I recommend practicing fluid consumption because that's really important to do that. But eventually you'd want to get to the 6% Gatorade, the regular Gatorade, but yeah, you can dilute it too, that's fine. Now, weight. Is weight an issue here? Body weight? Weight gain, weight loss? Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now that at Georgia, I'd say that 8 or 9 out of 10 sessions we have are about weight. So that's why what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind up, and if you have any questions, just ask me. But what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about body weight. That's where I've done a lot of work in weight control, weight maintenance. How many of you have weight goals? And are they your goals? Are they the coach? How many of you have a goal from the coach? No, so they don't give you they don't give you guidelines.
I think it has, like, I know with volleyball, coaches have to be careful. I just heard our coach say that like, you have to be careful with how you deal with that or whatever, just because of people. I don't know. I think it, like
Being oversensitive to it.
I'm not trying to call you out, sorry. I mean, sorry, but like I just thought that it was a school thing that, like, I mean, I wish that people would say more of us about weight, but I didn't think that they were supposed to.
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of there's a lot of concern about eating disorders. There's no question about that. There's concern that if some kind of inappropriate comments made, that could lead to disordered eating behavior. But it's okay to have ranges for weights, and it's okay to have ranges for body composition. But when you try to bring an athlete to one specific body weight, that's when you get into problems. You don't want to do that. The other thing is this planning food intake. When I went into the cafeteria today, I walked all the way around the cafeteria to see what the options were, to see what they had. How many of you like the dining hall? All right. How many of you eat most of your food off campus? Okay, most of you eat off campus. All right, okay. And probably you like to sleep late as possible, and get to rush to class, and then when class is over, you got practice. Is that pretty much a schedule? Okay, so you need to be thinking ahead about what you're going to do with your food intake. I mean, you have to plan it like you would studying for a test. That sounds crazy, but it's really the truth. And then, so what I recommend is long-term. Let's say you're trying to lose weight, long-term planning. So if you have a season ahead of you in volleyball, starts in the fall, gets started in August, you should be, and you need to lose weight. You need to be thinking about it the January before, from January, February, up until you get to August. You don't want to wait until May or June to start worrying about losing weight. You can't. That's too soon before you get ready to compete. So you need to allow enough time, reduce food intake only slightly, and you've got to increase your energy expenditure. Part of the problem with athletes, though, is that they're already training so hard. To add any more is just totally is difficult. So what we do is we really assess an athlete's diet to see if they're eating the right things, and maybe they're eating more or the wrong things, then they didn't really realize it or they didn't know it. The other thing is, if you go on severe energy restricted diets, have you ever been on a diet, lost weight, and then all of a sudden you're still eating the same amount and your body weight's not going down anymore, it just stopped on you? Well, what happens is your body is trying to protect itself. And so so what happens is you've lost, if you lose weight, you're going to lose some muscle. Not only body fat, you lose muscle. Your metabolic rate goes down. You're not getting good nutrition. You're a little tired, fatigued. You may be performing. I'll give you a perfect example. There's an athlete at the University of Georgia. She has an eating disorder. She's restricting her food intake, and she is performing. She's doing outstanding. Great performance. she is right on the edge. She's right on the edge of being close to an injury. She's not getting good nutrition because she's not eating enough. She's not menstruating, hadn't menstruated in a year. She's eating very little, but she's not losing any more body weight. Her body's shut down, it's protecting itself. So what does she do? What would you tell her to do? I mean, a lot of times athletes are at the highest risk for injury when they're in the tip-top shape. But when you're in the tip-top shape and you're not, you don't have adequate nutrition, obviously her body's shut down with the amenorrhea. That's her body's way of conserving energy. So what do we tell her? What do you tell her? You tell me. What do you think? All right, you respond to what I'm going to tell her. I'm going to tell her that she needs to eat just a little bit more, not much, a little bit more. I'm going to take it a little bit at a time, a little step at a time. Try and increase her food intake just a little bit. And I'm going to tell her that it may result in about 1 pound or 2 of weight gain, which is going to be terrifying for her. If we can do that, what that'll do is we're going to try to normalize her metabolism, try and bring it back up so that she doesn't have that low metabolism. And then when her body's metabolically normal, then she'll stop gaining any weight. Hopefully it'll just be a couple of pounds. She'll be getting more nutrition in her body, and then hopefully eventually can get back and deal with this amenorrhea or lack of menstrual cycle issue. But that's what I'm going to tell you. You think that's going to work? No, but yeah. What do you think? What do we got to do? I'm serious. Tell me what you think. Excuse me? Increase it slowly, but you know what we've got to do with that? Is obviously there are reasons that the eating disorder developed. It's very complex, multifactorial. It may be from family issues. It could be from coaching and training issues as a child. It could be cultural issues that have happened in the upbringing of that athlete. So it's really a complex thing. So in what we're doing, our approach is the athlete is getting regular counseling to try to address some of those background issues that they need to address. And it could be eating disorders, it could be depression, it could be a multitude of things, but psychological counseling, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like getting a good health checkup, but it's not for your physical body, it's for your mental body. And it's really important. There's always this stigma that's attached to it, and it's horrible that stigma is attached to it. But anyway, and she's accepting the counseling very well. So she addresses those issues. From a nutritional standpoint, we slowly try to bring that food intake up. She doesn't even know what a normal amount of food is. If I were to, for example, put a bowl of cereal and put the recommended serving size for a bowl of cereal up there, she's eating 1/4 of that or half of that. In other words, help her relearn what normal food intake is. And then dealing with the psychological issues, the emotional issues. And I think if we do that and just be patient, I think we can get there with it. So, now weight gain. I think I'm going to skip that. And I'm going to go to right here. Now, I know there's probably athletes that do want to gain weight to get stronger and so forth, and I'll be happy to talk to you afterwards, but I'm thinking about time, and I don't know where are we time-wise?
You've got the 20, 25 minutes.
Oh, great. Well, and I just want you guys to ask questions. I'm just trying to give you something that'll be useful for you. One of the things that you need to do, and I'm going to make some comments related to not just the dining hall, but fast foods and eating at home. One of the things that I found for myself, my parents gave us a new set of china. And look at the plates. They're as big as flying saucers. I mean, they're huge. These big plates, you get these gourmet meals on these huge plates. And so what's the natural tendency? To fill them up. And then if you're like me, you've always been raised to clean your plate. And if you don't clean your plate, then you haven't done well. And so then you fill this big plate up and then you eat it. So one thing that you can do is if you have a server in the dining hall, I know in a lot of situations you don't, you serve yourself. And I'll tell you, I notice a difference between male and female. The server always gives me a lot more than the female in front of me or behind me. I always look to see. There was a young man in front of me today that got turkey, and he got 2 little slices. Well, when I got up there, so tell him, say, look, I don't want 3 pieces. I just want 1 slice of turkey. The size of my hand is 3 ounces of a meat or a cheese or whatever, so about that size a hamburger would be 3 ounces. And that's the serving size, really, that or even a little bit less. Try to lay off the fried foods. Picked up, I tell you, the tofu and vegetables look good today, but now a lot of you aren't going to eat that. I didn't see, I'm trying to think of the other vegetables. I saw some greens there. The lentils were good, although they could use a little bit more salt on them. I mean, anybody eat the lentils today? No. Well, lentils and legumes are one of the best foods that you can eat in terms of fiber, protein, iron, other minerals, and carbohydrate. They're just a great food, like black beans and lentils and red beans and so forth. So focus on those low-fat dairy products. One of the things, we had a basketball player in last year. She was overweight and she wanted to lose weight. And what I do is I sit down and I have a graduate student that works with me. We sit down, we go through the diet of the athlete, and we went through the entire diet, and I said, you eat pretty good. Tell me again how many glasses of tea you drink a day. She said, well, I have 2 at lunch and I have 2 at supper, and then I may have 1 in the evening. So like 4 or 5 glasses of tea, sweet tea. So I said, let me ask you a question. Do you think you could cut that out? Maybe just drink water? But yeah, I could do that. It wasn't that big a deal. So she did that, and then over the next 3 months, her weight just started to come down and just came down beautifully just by cutting out the sweet tea. So we try to minimize our changes in trying to get, to promote weight loss. Breads, great source of carbohydrate for refueling the muscles, but if you see bread that's just got tons of butter and margarine and garlic and everything all over it that you may get from like a pizza shop or something, that's going to be a little bit different. But you just remember this: you are the consumer, and if you go to a restaurant and you want it served a certain way, or one of the things that all these nutritionists get a bad rap for that, but let's say you go to a meal and with your parents and they take you out and you go out and you have a steak. How many ounces are going to be in that steak? Probably at least 9, probably 9 or more. And so if you get a steak, 9 ounces, the recommended serving size is about 3, maybe 2, depending on what you've had that day. So you could say, look, just cut it in half and box it up, and then when I'm finished with the meal, just bring me the rest of it. You can do that, and they'll do it. So you're the consumer. You've got to be able to do that. The other thing is I just wanted to mention about eating disorders. I've done a lot of studies and research related to this. I have a good friend that's in the Netherlands, and she's done a lot of research. And really, a lot of people say that athletes have a higher prevalence of eating disorders than the regular college-age population. And I don't think if they do have more, it's not that much more. Do you think it's more? One of my colleagues and I say, well, it really is eating is part of your training, and you've got to realize that if you pay attention to your diet, you can gain an edge on the other athlete. You don't want to use it against you. And in the case of anorexia, which self-induced starvation, bulimia, restriction, binge eating, all these situations really are complex and can hurt the athlete and their performance. We have an ED team at Georgia. We meet once a month, team physician, psychologist, myself. and the head athletic trainer. We talk, if we talk about different athletes, if the athlete doesn't want the coach to know, the coach doesn't know. We encourage the coaches to know because the coaches know the athletes. But we definitely get them in for counseling and into the nutritionist for work. The way we know is self-referral at physicals. An athlete will tell us, or they'll be referred by coaches, trainers, or their teammates. The other thing is we give out questionnaires that at participation physicals, and you can get an idea if somebody's anemic, if they're amenorrheic, if they're extremely low body fat. I've seen female athletes at anywhere below 12% body fat, and you're definitely concerned. So we evaluate the athletes, diagnose the issue, and then we develop a treatment plan for them. But really, probably more than anything, for you, the most important thing would be to help your teammates if you recognize that somebody may have an eating disorder. And I've given you a handout, and so you can follow this handout. In working with gymnasts over the years who really are concerned about body weight, cross-country runners concerned about body weight, teammates have come forward and talked to their teammate, their athlete, to help them get in to talk to somebody. Typically, it's a nutritionist that's the first step of entry into the treatment in terms of dealing with the issue, because it's more than a food issue, a nutrition issue. I think we all know that. So all I'm saying is I wanted you to see these kind of tips about being supportive and listening to teammate that may have an eating disorder, recognize some of the symptoms of a potential eating disorder. And then if somebody has an eating disorder, obviously they're not going to be very happy. They're going to be every thought is going to be about food, and they're not going to be very happy. So don't focus on the eating disorder or a body weight issue. Just talk more along the lines of, why are you feeling the way you're feeling, or and go at it from that approach. Now, one of the things that you guys can do, if you want more information, and in today's society, it's unbelievable what you have access to. I mean, you can go to the ADA website, American Dietetic Association, Eat Right, American College of Sports Medicine. Gatorade has outstanding resources for sports and nutrition. And then you can see some of the others. The Anorexia Bulimia Association. There's tons of information out there, and I've got, again, handouts for you that will share some of these. But I think the key thing for you to remember is that your diet, your food, I don't like the word diet myself, but I think your eating is a huge, I'd say maybe 25 to 30% of your performance. Any of you don't think so? If you're the type person that if you don't eat, you get kind of ornery, and your friends don't want to be around you if you hadn't had anything to eat, well, that's food affecting your emotions and your behaviors. Let me tell you something, food definitely affects your body and how it performs. And I always like this little cartoon here. You want to go in with a little bit of confidence. And so to have that confidence, if you have a very strong nutrition plan, and your coaching is good, your training's good, you're going to be confident, and most likely you're going to be able to maximize your performance. And so anything I can do, any questions I can answer to help you guys in terms of other nutrients. So really in the overall diet scheme, focusing on complex carbohydrates with fruit and vegetables, your low-fat dairy products, for the calcium, supplement if you need it, iron possibly if you're a vegetarian, otherwise 5 fruits and vegetables, and planning your food intake so that you're not. One last thing, skipping breakfast. How many of you skip breakfast? A lot. You can raise your hand. It's all right. All right. That's okay. Let me tell you, my son, he's a freshman in college at Georgia, and he if he can get 2 minutes of extra sleep, he'll take it. So he's not going to, so what he does is he's got a little refrigerator in his room, and he carries a bagel with peanut butter on it and a yogurt, and out the door. He goes to class, and he eats it right before class, but he eats it on the go. So you can do that too, but you got to plan for it, like you would, a test or something. So that's all I have, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.